Tune in next time, except there won't be a next time, because I won't continue this. Yeah, so I said I wouldn't do another one of these ever again, but then this update happened, and they made a video contest for it, and everything kinda changed. My dreams of Lann reclaiming—
Actually, it's pronounced lawn.
My dreams of Lann reclaiming his throne—
I think it's better pronounced as Lann in my opinion.
Okay. Lann is finally the king of DPS.
It's pronounced Nehita in Korea. Can you please stick with the source material?
Before we start the actual tutorial, I'd like to point out that we're skipping the character creation process because we've already covered it in this video here. If you haven't watched my latest quote-unquote tutorial video, you can click that link and I'll cover some of the basics that you need to know about the game. Now, to show and better explain the character, we'll be demonstrating his abilities through two perspectives, a new player perspective and a veteran player perspective. In addition to that, we'll be breaking this tutorial down into three categories: AP abilities, effectively using your skills, and gear. So, let's try to get through this thing without breaking too many of the contest rules. Except for this one. I hold no promises. If you look in the bottom left-hand corner of your screen, you'll see the Skills tab. Click on it. You'll notice right away that you obviously have no ability points as the new player. So let's quickly solve that problem. Close the Skills tab and open up the Depot tab in the bottom right-hand corner. If you scroll through the Depot pages, you'll come across an item listed as AP 1000 Capsule for 3900 NX, which translates to about $4. This item will instantly grant you 1000 ability points to use on your character. Now, Lann's AP cap's 175,264. If we do some simple math in terms of NX, our total comes to 686,400, which is exactly $686.40. A modest amount, really. So, instead of earning your AP, buy it with one click. Now that you've bought all of your AP, you no longer need to worry about what skills to level up first, because now you can level them all at once. As a veteran player, we're assuming you have your AP capped, close to it, or you just followed our advice in the previous segment and bought it. So, instead of covering where to allocate your points, we're going to briefly cover what some of the skills do. We won't cover how to perform or use these skills effectively until the next category after this one, as a heads up. Also, we'll of course be skipping over non-Lann exclusive skills and self-explanatory skills such as these. If you can't comprehend what these skills entail, there is no hope for you. Leave. Lann has the best dodge in the game. Unfortunately, for some reason, you have to rank that up, and that makes for some interesting experiences. Despite that small nuisance, it's also one of the most mobile dodges in the game, but that has its own issues too. You'll get used to it after a few years, don't worry. Double Crescent is a smash skill that you can use after Nimble or Slip Dash. It's basically Lann's best DPS move, so you'll pretty much be spamming this until you have Carpal Tunnel. Rising Crescent is Lann's first smash ability. Use it as an alternative to Double Crescent, then enjoy having everyone ask you, why aren't you just using double crescent? This skill used to seriously be called Bear Blower. I'm serious, look. F***ing Bear Blower. If the title of that alone doesn't entice you to use this, there's nothing I can say that will. Honestly, if you want to spin around that bad, just use spears. Fanning Slash is Lann's strongest skill. It has a long wind-up to it, but in the right situation, it can be very useful. Once you level up to rank 9 or above, you unlock the second part to the skill, which looks like this. It's entirely situational to use this, and rarely ever worth it. If you see another Lann using this on a regular basis, be a good Samaritan, and tell them to uninstall the game. 1000 Needles raises your crit chance by 10%. The duration of the buff is increased with each successful hit landed up to a maximum of 35 seconds. Upon your next critical hit, the buff will also increase the damage your glides do. You can also perform a smash attack with 1000 Needles by pressing your smash key. Now you can use that explosive enchant scroll guilt-free. Last but not least, Gliding Fury and Lightning Fury. These are the skills that define Lann. Gliding Fury can be activated by pressing your smash key after receiving a critical hit from one of your smash attacks. This will cause your Lann to dash forward, dealing large amounts of damage. If your Gliding Fury scores a critical hit, you can then do Lightning Fury on top of it, which is essentially the same as Gliding Fury, but slightly less powerful. Since the recent update, Lann acquired a few new skills and changes to pre-existing ones. We'll go over 2 of the new skills right now and continue to cover the other new additions throughout the rest of this video. Risky Wind is a new dodge buff for Lann. Whenever you successfully dodge into an attack without getting hit, the buff will activate and the following effects will take place. However, the buff can't be activated by certain range attacks or AoEs like Gloss's lasers, Bark's missiles, or Havan's sandy balls. Also, the buff only lasts for a maximum of 7 seconds, though it can be stacked twice. Just make sure you use your next smash attack quickly, or you'll waste it. Critical damage raises the, well, amount of critical damage that Lann does. While everyone else remains at 195 critical damage at max rank, Lann's rises to 250 with this new skill. All we know is it makes our crits do more damage. Yeah, we have no idea what this number means, it's just a higher number. And higher numbers are always good, I guess. What the hell do I even say about that? Wait. I think I forgot a skill. Nah, we're good. This is Lann's dodge, but veterans know this is a useless skill that takes up your dodge key. Bind your Merc Potions to this key instead and ignore this skill. Lann's ultimate DPS move. Use this in combination with Slashing High and Fury Infusion, and hold down your smash button. The only thing to worry about is your lack of mobility while doing this. You don't want to use too many Merc Pots while taking those hits for glorious top DPS. Lann's second glorious DPS move. Similar in execution to Moonsplitter, but with slightly less damage. However, you get the added bonus of mobility to chase down those bosses faster, and perhaps avoid a few hits. Fury Infusion increases your attack, refills stamina, and increases your critical chance. Use this in conjunction with the 2 previous skills we've discussed for top deeds. It also causes you to lose some HP when you use it. But with your new dodge, it won't really matter. Accelerate grants you a speed boost for each smash you land on your enemy without getting hit. This stacks up to 10 times, granting you 1 more attack speed per hit. Your character also glows a certain color depending on how many stats you have. Veteran players don't often see the icon of this skill appear in game, as they're far too busy tanking hits to do their splits. Take note. All you need is splits and hurricane. Do the splits and spin. Nothing else. A new ability has been added to Lightning Fury for spears since the update. Now when using Lightning Fury, you'll be invincible during the entire animation. You'll also go through whatever enemy you're fighting. Finally, we have Belclair. This new skill allows you to create a blood pact with whatever enemy you perform it on. The blood pact causes Spearland to deal 20% more damage to his enemy, but it also causes the target to deal 20% more damage to him as well. Basically, you can hug the floor even faster now thanks to this skill. This is your go-to SP skill regardless of what weapons you're using. It increases your movement speed and attack speed, but also makes you nearly impervious to being knocked down or stunned by attacks. Which also means those multi-hit attacks some bosses have are now far more deadly, as each hit can hurt you. And since you won't be receiving any invincibility frames from being knocked down, you can die pretty easily. Make sure to dodge those if you're playing swords, or merkpaw through them quickly on spears. Furious 7 is Lann's other major SP skill. When activated, your character will do 7 gliding furies which you can aim and control, all while being invincible. When playing as Sword Lann, it's wise to stack up your buff from Thousand Needles, and to try to use it after successfully dodging an attack, thus getting the risky wind buff. This will ensure that the chances of getting each strike to crit will increase dramatically. In addition to that, Thousand Needles will increase the overall damage too. Then after all of that, miss your attack because the boss moved away. Feels great. These last 3 SP skills are rather situational and don't even come close to comparing to the usefulness of the previously mentioned skills. You'll most likely only end up using these when you have an excessive amount of SP and you can afford to use one of them, so they're not really worth talking about extensively. And it has absolutely nothing to do with the fact that I had no jokes for these boring skills. Holy shit, we're over 13 minutes into this and we're still in the first category? Okay, we need to speed this up a little bit. Sprint Smash, also known as the Tryhard Smash, a really quick smash attack performed by pressing your smash key while sprinting. Horrible damage, but good for fishing for critical hits to glide off of. You can also dodge to an extent. You'll notice a lot of MLG Pro Dank players using this in between their other attacks.
Wow!
Windmill. Press your normal button after getting knocked down to perform a fancy breakdance move that somehow is effective. You'll be invincible while you do this skill too. Sword Lann can do a glide after getting up from Windmill, and Sword Lann can use Sudden Shock or start off from the second normal attack. And for some f***ing reason, if you use a mouse, they change the button that does Windmill from right mouse button to left mouse button. We've been using right mouse button to do it for years. Why would you ever? It's been burned into our minds as a right mouse button. Okay, I'm good. Holy mother of fuck! No. They removed that. Never mind. But never forget. Now that you know how all these important fundamental skills are performed, and it only took up to 3/4 of this video, it's time to quickly go over the best ways of using them in your day-to-day experiences in the game. Remember how at the beginning of this video we lightly suggested that you can purchase all of your AP so you can max out all of your skills from the get-go. Yeah, well, I lied. Your AP skills have level restrictions on them, so you may or may not have just purchased nearly $700 worth of AP you can't actually take full advantage of just yet. In other words, you're still going to be utterly weak and useless until you level up. In other words, you're rarely ever going to see critical hits, therefore also no glides, your dodge will have low invincibility frames on it, and you won't even have nimble dash for a bit. Bear Blower will be restricted to 1 part instead of 2, and so will Fanning Slash. In addition to all of that, you're also going to have next to no stamina, so you'll be doing a lot of this. Have fun. So really, your best bet as you level up through the game is to take things slowly, assess your enemies, and counter when you find an opening. All of your smashes are going to be viable for a while, so use whatever you can fit in between the boss attack patterns and learn as you go. I'm going to be very blunt here and cut the act for a moment and say that this portion of the video is actually going to teach you something about Lann. There'll be some witty remarks here and there, but this bit is going to be mostly dry and informative since, you know, I have to actually teach you something of value for this to qualify. So if you'd like to skip this part of the video and get back to a more familiar pace, you can click the link on the screen now to jump ahead. Alright, here we go. Once again, as a veteran player, we're going to assume that you're at or near endgame content, so we'll instead be discussing effective ways to execute the abilities during raid play. One of the real benefits of playing Lann is that you're typically not restricted to doing just one moveset to maximize your DPS potential. All smashes, for the most part, are viable in raids, as they'll do fairly similar amounts of damage. And of course, each of them can net you a critical hit, which is what you're really going for as Lann. Though, there are still 2 spammable DPS rotations that are very effective in most situations. This rotation is what you'll see most Lanns doing on a regular basis. Because it hits twice when executed, comes right after your dodge, and is decently fast, it's efficient to spam this for crits, to lead into a glide, and hopefully a lightning fury. Getting a critical from Double Crescent itself will also deal a great amount of damage too. As I joked about previously in this video, you may have seen some higher geared Lanns using this too. That's mostly due to Rising Crescent essentially acting the same way as Double Crescent. It hits twice, and it's fast. However, it's much faster to perform this than Double Crescent, and the hit delay is less as well. Though of course, the trade-off is that Rising Crescent does about half as much damage as Double Crescent does. What you're really aiming for with this rotation is to try and constantly get a critical hit, and use Gliding Fury followed by Lightning Fury. Otherwise, you won't be doing much damage. If you don't have excessively high critical chance, I would not recommend trying this one. You can also mix in Sprint Smash in between either of those rotations every once in a while to quickly fish for a glide or two. If you're crit capped, or extremely close to it, it can actually be somewhat viable to spam Sprint Smash, much like the 2 previous rotations. It's even faster than using Rising Crescent, but of course, it's an even bigger gamble. Other than that, use your remaining smashes where you normally wouldn't be able to fit in your primary rotations. You'll discover many uses for them along the way. There's far more to discuss when it comes to Lann, but for the sake of time, and the fact that I hate talking about this boring shit, we're going to move on. I'm sure that the last 2 minutes or so of boring DPS talk was more than enough to get this video to qualify. Right? Right, Zoltar? I don't care how infectious that smile of yours is, it better fucking qualify. Actually, there's a 20-minute time limit for this contest, and we're coming dangerously close to that. So, we'll have to call it quits for now. My bad. Tune in next time, except this time I will be making more, when we discuss how I'm going to get my shit together and actually make more videos on a regular basis for once. Alright, finally done. That took a while, but oh well. I guess I'll check on the submission thread while this uploads to YouTube. Let's see here. Oh, what? 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 Are you kidding? Oh, right, it ended 2 weeks ago.